Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Heidi, and I am joined by the wonderful Staci.
Hello.
Today we have some fun weird news stories. We are starting off with something that I kind of knew about, but I really didn't know how bad it was or how gross it was.
Gross, yeah.
It's really gross. You know how everyone says don't spill oil, like pour oil down the drain or like butter, things like that? Well, this is why you shouldn't. Because you will get a giant Fatberg, which is what they're calling it. And this Fatberg measured 210 feet, and it is clogging up British sewers. So what happened is a British official has said that this giant Fatberg has been found blocking a sewer in southwestern England. What it is a mass of hardened fat, oil, and baby wipes, and it measures 210 feet long.
The baby wipes is
so
just
gross.
The baby wipes is kind of random.
Yeah.
It's like oil and fat, okay, and baby wipes, just because.
Yeah, I'm sure also it could be just like any type of body wipe, because I think they say flushable on the boxes.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Like how tampons say flushable, you know, kind of like that, but you really shouldn't flush them. It's like that type of thing, because they are flushable. They will go down the toilet, like many things will.
Yes.
They just will get stuck in the sewer. It's really not good. It looks like a glacier, like an iceberg, but just it's fat. It's disgusting. And it's like, it's not just disintegrating. It looks kind of hard as well, and they have to like work to chip it away. It'll come off in pieces.
Just, I have totally thought this before, but along with like teachers and doctors, I feel like the people who pick up trash and work in sewers should be the highest paid people in society, because I would not want to do. I don't want to go anywhere near this thing.
No.
And you get to work with it all the time.
No,
Hooray.
not at all. I feel bad for the person who discovered this too. Can you imagine just going down there and just being completely, what is this? Like a monster.
I mean, I feel if you've done that job for a while, you've probably come across them before, and it's like, yeah, something keeps backing up in my house, and then you go and you follow the sewer line. But
true.
Yeah.
If it was your first day, if it was your first time seeing one, that'd be terrible. So Andrew Rotary of Southwest Water, he says that it will take their sewer team around 8 weeks to dissect this giant Fatberg, and it's going to be in exceptionally challenging working conditions, which I could imagine.
Yeah, and also 8 weeks, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Andrew. I'm sorry that's you're in charge of that. He has urged the public to not pour grease down the drain or to flush baby wipes down the toilet. He said, don't feed the Fatberg.
Yes, please don't.
Yeah, please don't. It's growing. It was originally discovered in drains in the coastal town of Sidmouth. And also in 2017, a 250 meter or 820 foot Fatberg was discovered in the sewers beneath Whitechapel in East London. A chunk of that Fatberg went on display at the Museum of London inside like transparent glass boxes. Like they cared.
Ew, I mean, okay, but also ew.
Yep.
That feels like it would be more like at the Ripley's Museum.
Yeah.
In the Museum of London.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that would definitely be, I feel like kids would like that.
Right? Oh.
Yeah, so please don't flush grease down the drain or baby wipes. They're flushable, but it does not end well. They turn into a Fatberg. Yes. Don't feed it. Also, I'm sorry for everyone in London who has to deal with this. That's a really gross problem to have your toilets backing up. Not good.
Yeah.
Really not good. This next story is also strange, but also disturbing in a different way.
But still also kind of gross.
Yeah, that's very true. This is what happened. There was security camera footage that captured a prowler, or just a suspect, a suspicious-looking person, licking a doorbell for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
This happened in Salinas, California, and security footage again caught this person licking the doorbell. This house belonged to Sylvia Dungan, and she told her local news station that they were alerted by their security system to strange movement in the early morning. And then she at first thought that it was traffic. And then she thought, well, 5 a.m. I guess her son works like night shift or something. And she's like, well, he doesn't come home till 6 a.m. So then who's outside? Which is a disturbing thought anyway. Like, that's terrifying to think about that. And then she was even more surprised when she watched back the video. And there were just hours of a male trespasser licking her doorbell. Hours. 3 hours. Like, that guy had to be on bath salts. There's no way someone just consciously does that.
I mean, this kind of feels like something that would be on, like, My Strange Addiction, but random doorbells, like...
Red doorbell licking?
Oh, that doorbell looks tasty. Like, what? What?
I feel like at that point you're like an exhibitionist. Like, you just like going out and doing weird things.
I mean, he is doing this at 5 a.m, so he's not trying to get caught or seen, but...
True. 5 a.m, though. People are out at 5 a.m.
How do you discover that you like licking doorbells?
I don't know. You just try one. Gotta try them all.
And after 3 hours, wouldn't whatever taste be gone?
Yeah. Also, I feel like your tongue would hurt after a while. It's not like a soft surface. I don't know.
And you have to, like, now I'm wondering, like, did you lick the actual doorbell part? Because how do you do that without, like, accidentally ringing the doorbell? You have to have practice for that or something, like, or did you just lick the part around?
Yeah, he didn't ring the doorbell. Huh. That's weird. Also, I mean, so I feel like this situation was caught on camera, but what if he did that on places that don't have a security camera?
I'm assuming he's done it at places that don't have a security camera.
Yeah, so he's just like a chronic doorbell licker. Like, he's just out there.
That is so not a term I ever thought I'd hear.
Chronic doorbell licker. Apparently it's a thing. Also, of course, Sylvie said this was super weird, and apparently the trespasser didn't stop there, because on the video he was also caught urinating on the front lawn. So
you kind of wonder, that maybe he's on something.
Oh yeah, he's got to be on drugs. I feel like at that point it's not just a fetish. Like, you're drunk or something. I don't know. I don't know why you would ever lick doorknobs to begin with. But if then he's going to go pee on your front lawn, he's probably drunk. Or maybe he just didn't think anyone would ever see him. You know, like, right. There could be other people peeing on my lawn. I don't know. I still don't see him.
I don't want to think about that either.
Police said the suspect, apparently they found him. His name is Roberto Daniel Arroyo. He's 33. And he could face misdemeanor charges for petty theft and prowling, according to the news station. And apparently... They realize who the suspect is, but I don't think they've brought him in because he's still at large, licking doorknobs.
I want to know what the charge for petty theft is. What did you steal?
Maybe he stole someone's doorbell? Like, he really liked it?
Or is it like sort of you're saying indirectly stole my sense of safety in my home? Or...
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's more like just a mental theft.
You stole the value of my home price by licking the doorbell.
Oh, that's true. Once your home appears on the news if your town is on the news for having a prowler who's licking doorknobs, I feel like property value goes down.
Right, be like, oh, isn't that house? Oh, yeah, we're not buying that.
Yeah, location. You don't want to be in that neighborhood. That's disgusting.
The doorbell licker neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh God. Also, in the town I live, there was a chronic butt slapper. And the town I live is a bike town, so he would bike up to people and slap their butts.
Wow.
It was a chronic butt slapper. Yep. Which is, I realize is assault and is a terrible thing, but it's also kind of funny because the skill of the biking.
Right.
You know?
It's not practice.
Right. Exactly.
Licking doorbells without ringing them. Why are you practicing these things? And how do you determine to practice them?
How do you determine why the doorbell, not like the doorknob? Why that, not something else?
Right. Or just like, the frame, the wall,
right. Could
the
be anything.
Window.
Yeah. Man,
doorbells.
That's gross. Also, Sylvia, whose home this is, she said there's no physical damage to her home, but apparently her family spent the rest of the weekend sanitizing the doorbells.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I would be sanitizing every outside part of my house.
You don't know what else
anything I ever touch on that outside, like, maybe not the roof because I'm not going up there. But like, yeah, that whole outside of the house.
The whole door, everything about that. Windows.
Like, I don't want to, can I just like, morph into my house and not have to touch anything?
Yeah.
Like walk through walls or something.
Yeah.
Why? No,
that's weird. Also, that guy's still at large. They know who it is. They just can't find him. I don't even know how they know who it is, though.
Well, and I want to know now, like, if they put this on the news and people who know this guy saw it and were like, I'm sorry, what are you doing and why?
Maybe he was like a sleepwalker. Maybe he did it while sleepwalking or something.
That's so weird for sleepwalking, isn't it? For 3 hours.
Can you imagine just watching the news with your family and then it just comes up that you're the doorbell licker?
Right. It'd be like, I what now?
You're just out of the family at that point. But if it's like when you're on drugs or like sleepwalking, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know what you're doing. And then you find out, oh, that's what I'm doing.
Or if he like thought he was somewhere else. So, but then what are you licking for 3 hours?
Thought he was home, so he just was licking his own doorknob.
This is like the very strange like Tootsie Roll Pop question of like how long does it take to like. I'm just like, why for 3 hours? The 3 hours part. I don't know. Like licking a doorbell is weird enough, but for 3 hours.
I know. God, I don't know. That's a strange thing to want to do. Don't lick doorknobs. And if you find someone licking your doorknobs or doorbells, please sanitize, or any part of your house. Anyone licking anything of yours, like any like furniture or like books, just sanitize it or throw it away. And also
possibly call the cops because.
Oh yeah, probably do that too.
Yeah.
You have to have a serious talking to someone because that's not normal.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a quick break and then we'll be right back and keep talking about some more weird news stories.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back to the Weird News Podcast. We are continuing to talk about some weird, strange stories. And this one is about a moose. If you listened to a previous episode of this podcast, we recently had mentioned a moose in the past. And I have another wonderful moose story for you. But this is more like a joke about an animal walking into a bar. But this is if a moose wanders into a hospital.
You give it a cookie or a muffin or whatever that child's book is.
In this case, it found some indoor foliage.
Well, that's close enough.
Something to eat. This happened, as I said, in Alaska, and it's when a moose wandered into a hospital. It was in Alaska's largest city, and apparently there was a woman there, Stephanie Hupton, who captured the whole thing on her phone camera. So good for posterity, to watch later.
As we need, yeah.
Yeah. When you're feeling sad and you just need something to uplift you, just a moose walking into a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't hurt, so that's good. Hupton, who works in the building, she works at the physical therapy office, which is inside a building attached to the hospital. And this was the Alaska Regional Hospital in Anchorage. Apparently, a patient saw some of the security staffers monitoring this moose. And so when Stephanie noticed that, she grabbed her phone and dashed out to go record it. And the footage from her phone shows the moose just browsing around, looking at some greenery near the entrance of the hospital. And then it just apparently stands there gazing at the camera, in its direction for a really long time. And just kind of lingers around. And then it just saunters back outside the door.
Okay.
Just casually. I don't know. Chilling. They said that they never felt threatened by the moose. It was really mellow. And of course, it was the closest that this woman, Stephanie, had ever been to a moose. But she said that she didn't feel threatened. It was just really chill. And the hospital spokeswoman, Kirsten Latufska? Okay. She said the moose got inside the building around 11:30 a.m. And the doors, they were stuck open because of extreme cold. I guess maybe like open to another building that was warmer or something. I would imagine not open to the outside.
I think it might be open to the outside.
Really?
Like sliding doors would just get stuck because of the cold.
I could see that. Yeah, that makes sense. Apparently in Anchorage, the temperature just was like hovering around 0, which sounds awful. So if I was a moose outside in 0-degree weather, and there was just an automatic door that would just open or just got stuck open, and I could just go inside and hang out, I totally would. Also, apparently, they had like just greenery in the lobby, and so I'm sure the warmth plus the greenery invited a moose in who eats plants.
You're like, this is the place to be.
Exactly. And it just ended up eating plants and then exited the building like 10 minutes later. So it wasn't even there that long. Someone reported that the moose hung around the premises even after going inside because they saw it like around like the parking garage or whatever later in the day, like in the afternoon. So he just liked it around there.
I mean, I'm just now envisioning like how close are you to wherever, I still want to say moose live, that the moose just wanders onto the parking lot, wanders into the building, just wanders around. It's like we don't need to get the moose back to where it's going because it's literally just over there.
I wonder if that's just like Alaska, though, where there are just so many animals like that everywhere. So it's just, normal to have a moose in your parking lot. Maybe. That'd be kind of scary, though. Again, moose are huge.
They are.
They're gigantic. Also, the moose caused no injuries or any problems, and it just ate some of the plants. So, I mean, the plants had injuries, but they'll grow it back, hopefully.
Maybe the Alaska moose are just very chill.
Maybe, as opposed to the Colorado moose that we talked about earlier.
I apologize for that pun. Also, I didn't realize it as I was saying it. I apologize.
So chill. So chill. 0-degree chill.
Oh, I'm sorry.
According to the hospital spokeswoman, she said that it was a calm visit. So good for them. Good for the moose.
Please don't come back in 6 weeks.
Yeah. No follow-ups needed. This next story is a little bit sweeter. I did one of those.
See,
now.
Yeah, we're all on puns now.
I'm picking it up. This is about a German chocolate factory, and the factory apparently had a spill of chocolate all onto the street. Firefighters in the town of Werrell in West Virginia.
Western Germany.
Wow. What is that? I had that written down and everything. In Western Germany, tackled an unusual emergency when a tank at the local chocolate factory, the liquid chocolate overflowed and poured out onto the street. And about a ton of chocolate ran into the yard and out into the street, said a spokesperson from the fire department. So that sounds delicious. Well, not for the floor.
It sounds Willy Wonka-ish.
Yeah, it does. Like the waterfall just poured out.
Right.
Yep. A chocolate river. Ooh, chocolate river. Just like Willy Wonka. The firefighters closed off the street, and then they had to shovel the chocolate, which was about 108 square feet apparently, to a side of the road before a specialist cleaning company went to clean the road. Who specializes in cleaning chocolate?
The Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of anything else but Willy Wonka at the moment.
Nope, that's fair. I mean, I don't know. Also, if a kid was out there, I believe they would be running out to taste it. There's no way.
If I was a kid, I probably would.
If I was there now, I probably would.
Still be. I have to.
You have to figure out. Although I don't know if I would immediately recognize it as chocolate.
Right.
Because if brown liquid just started pouring out from like a tank somewhere, I don't know if I would assume it's chocolate.
That's true too.
But maybe it would smell good. I don't know. What
type
of chocolate,
108 square feet of chocolate has to smell like chocolate if you're close enough.
True. Although if it's, I don't know. I would be more prone to certain types of chocolate. Like I like milk chocolate. I'd be more prone to eat street chocolate if it was milk chocolate than just like dark chocolate.
Street chocolate. Okay.
Street chocolate. Street liquid chocolate. That sounds like a drug.
It does. Street chocolate.
Oh man, the coppers want me bad for my street chocolate.
Yeah, you gotta have your fix.
Despite this accident, apparently it is unlikely that a chocolate-free Christmas will occur in this town. So it sounds like the fire department cleaned it up. Also, I guess the chocolate factory just didn't, I guess they just had enough chocolate that it didn't matter that they lost all of it in the street.
I mean, did this happen before Christmas? Or?
I guess it started, before Christmas.
Okay, so they probably had like enough built up over the year of we just stack up chocolate just in case. Emergency rations of chocolate.
Yeah. Or they meant like next Christmas,
right.
Which I would hope
You can make up that chocolate deficit by then. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. So good for the fire department for cleaning that up. And I guess they didn't say did they say what time it happened? I don't think they said what time, but hopefully not during commute, because that would be a strange traffic inducer.
Well, and also I'm now just thinking like they shoveled it when my first thought would have been like to hose it. But after a while, it's just going to be sticky. So I certainly hope nobody like drove or walked on it until it got cleaned up.
That's probably why they need a specialist cleaning company.
Yes.
I would assume.
But also if you like, that would be the whole thing about, like people are like, don't drag the dirt into the house. Don't drag the chocolate into the house. This is why we have ants. Because you walked in chocolate and then didn't wipe off your shoes before you came inside.
The fire department would definitely have to wash all of their stuff.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it would be sticky, but I guess they could shovel it like shoveling, but it would have to be kind of viscous.
Well, and especially if it was like close to Christmas, because then it would be colder, as opposed to if you did this in like July, when it would probably stay liquid for longer. So it might have hardened pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So then you're doing this like fudge almost thing.
And then I guess they would have to shovel up and just throw it away.
Like snow shovels.
Yeah, probably. Well, okay. Good for them. Sorry for the chocolate company, though. But I guess they had enough, so they made it, and no harm, no foul. The street just got sticky, but someone came and cleaned it up. And I wonder if the city pays for chocolate cleanup, or if that's just the company. I don't know. But good for them. We are going to start on our next story. This is about rabbits. So we've talked about moose. Now we're moving on to rabbits, and also sheep. This happened when a farmer photographed some wild rabbits who were riding on the backs of sheep to escape rising floodwaters. So ingenious rabbits, honestly.
Very smart.
Yep. And this happened in New Zealand. So the man, Ferg Horn, he is 64, and he said that he had never seen anything like this. So he had to snap pictures because he knew that his family would never believe him when he told them what he had witnessed, which is understandable because I don't think I would ever believe that.
I mean, I feel like that's just the case with a lot of weird news stories. Moose in the hospital, rabbits on sheep. Gotta take a picture.
That's true. Also, I guess like when you learn about in school, like, it's, now I can't remember the name of it, like a relationship where animals benefit from each other.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Like mutualism or something?
Mutually beneficial? No, I can't remember either. When
both of them benefit, but I feel like in this situation, it's only the rabbits. But then do the sheep notice the rabbits?
No, the sheep are just continuing to mosey along.
I guess.
As sheep do, I guess.
And if you have a lot of wool on the sheep, maybe you just can't even feel a tiny little rabbit.
True.
But then it'd have to climb on its back. I don't know. Anyway, this man, he saw some sheep on rabbits because...
Rabbits on
Oh, God.
I don't know how you would see sheep on rabbits.
That would be
weird. Something you really need a picture for.
Oh, God, yeah. Can you imagine how strong that rabbit would have to be? Anyway, average sheep with rabbits on them. And it happened when Mr. Horn was going through to rescue his neighbor's 40 sheep from floodwaters. And this was at a South Island farm near Dunedin. And he spotted like dark shapes in the distance, which puzzled him because... So I guess his neighbor was away in Russia, apparently attending a wedding. But he knew that his neighbor didn't have black-faced sheep, so he was wondering why the shapes were dark. Also, I'm sorry to break up this story, but I'm going to take a break.
Be on tenterhooks.
To leave you right on a cliffhanger, and then we'll be right back and finish this up.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back to the Weird News Podcast. We're going to continue our story about some rabbits hitching a ride on sheep. So, as I said before the break, this involves Ferg Horn, who was going to go rescue his neighbor's sheep. There was a huge downpour of rain, so he wanted to go check on them. So what Mr. Horn saw, he saw like a bunch of sheep and a bunch of black shapes, and he wasn't sure why. But what he saw was a bunch of wild rabbits apparently hitching a ride. And they were pretty beat down, the rabbits, because of all the rain that was going on. Also, I feel like they would have to be really desperate to hitch a ride on sheep. So it's understandable that they looked a little worn out. And apparently there were like two atop of one sheep, like two rabbits. And then there was like another one on another sheep. So there were multiple rabbits. It wasn't just like one.
One really smart rabbit.
Right.
All the rabbits.
Right. They communicated that it was a good idea to hang out on the sheep. And then the sheep were all huddled together. They were on a high spot on this farm because it was raining. And even on the high spot, apparently they were still standing in like 3 inches of water, which 3 inches of water to a rabbit is probably a really big deal.
Yes.
Not as much for a sheep. So it makes sense why the rabbits wanted to get out of the rain. And Mr. Horn said that the rabbits had got wet, but seemed apparently fairly comfortable and relaxed on top of these sheep. And I'm assuming, the sheep are pretty fleecy, so it might have been a comfy ride.
Right.
It's like being on top of a cloud. Also, the farmer, typically, he shoots rabbits because they're considered pests in New Zealand. But he said that they showed so much initiative, he thought they deserved to live, which seems about right. I mean, they tried really hard. Mr. Horn, he herded the sheep to a patch of dry ground on the farm, apparently about like 50 meters away from where they were originally standing. And then he said that as the sheep jumped through the water, the rabbits just stayed on and hung on. And they appeared to be clinging to the wool of the sheep with their paws. But they did fall off as they got to higher ground and then just, climbed away once they were safe.
Well, and he mentions that the sheep were jumping, and I'm just like, the sheep are jumping outside of like people counting sheep? Like I just kind of imagine the sheep just being like completely lackadaisical about everything. Oh, there are rabbits on my back. Oh, it's raining.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. I'm just going to stand here. But evidently he has to they're jumping as he's hurting him. And so the rabbits are it's almost like a bronking, the
like
ride
a bronco?
the bull.
Yeah.
Ride. But,
but
fluffier.
Fluffier. Yeah. I mean, I guess they let go eventually, but only when they were in higher ground. So that's kind of
really smart rabbit.
Yeah, that is a smart rabbit. Also, Mr. Horn, when he returned later in the afternoon, the floodwaters were receding and the sheep were safe and the rabbits were long gone. So they just got what they needed and left.
I mean, they're also considered pests. So I feel like they're smart enough to ride sheep. They're smart enough to know that human would probably want to kill us.
Yeah,
so let's get out of here.
That makes sense. That makes sense. On to our last story, which also has to do with animals. This is about penguins, though. And penguins that were rescued by the police. So what happened is that police picked up a pair of stolen penguins, and it came from a tip-off that involved the disappearance and also the disappearance of the penguins. And also with the tip-off, it kept the case from, this article said, turning into a cold case.
We like puns here at the GSMC Podcast Network, evidently.
So to keep it from turning into a cold case, this tip helped them. This came from the Nottinghamshire police, and they said that 2 Humboldt penguins were taken from a zoo in November, but they were able to recover the birds after, this is again a quote from them, putting our beaks in it.
I feel cops really like puns.
Oh, probably that and donuts, I'm sure.
Unless you're doing a pig pun, then they probably don't.
Oh yeah, they avoid saying pig at all costs. After finding the animals, they found them at a property in Strelly Valley. And
Village.
Oh, thank you. Oh God, man, I got to get glasses or something.
Heidi's too busy saying puns to say anything else correctly.
I'm distracted by turning from a cold case. They rescued these penguins, and then they arrested a 23-year-old man on suspicion of burglary and theft. So this guy just wanted some pet penguins and got arrested for it.
Why would you steal penguins? But then I guess there's been a number of films that make penguins look really nice and sweet and cute. March of the Penguins and Happy Feet and all that. So it's just like, penguins are wonderful. But also, why would you steal penguins?
That also seems like a lot of work. I feel like penguins probably have very specific needs.
Right?
Like fish consistently.
And also a certain temperature. And, I don't know how well you can maintain that even if you live in a place that it gets cold for the whole year.
Yep. Yep. I don't know. These were South American penguins, though. So they
maybe are used to a bit more warm.
Yeah. But even in those type of waters, they have to have like cold currents to keep it under, like, to keep them healthy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. A police spokesman said, rather than let it turn into a cold case, we acted quickly on a tip-off that the pair of Humboldt penguins had been taken in November and were now believed to be residing in Knott's. Again, they said, after putting our beaks in it and making inquiries, we recovered the birds safe and well on Wednesday, and then they returned them to the zoo.
I really want to know about the tip that came in. Was this like the suspect showed off, hey, look at these cool penguins I got, and the person was like, that's not okay, I'm calling the cops.
Also, how could you keep penguins a secret? Everyone has to know that's like, someone's going to notice penguins.
Well, from November, like, did you stock up for all the stuff you need for penguins ahead of time so no one noticed really strange purchases after the penguins were stolen?
Yeah. Someone got a kiddie pool and lots of blocks of ice and fish.
Right.
Curious.
It's like, yeah, we haven't seen any of that. Nope.
Yep. Weird pool party going on. I don't know. But they found the penguins and they seem to be okay. And then they're back at the zoo. So I'm glad. Hopefully, back to a place where the penguins can be properly cared for.
And at least, they had each other so the penguins weren't
lonely that's true.
While waiting to be rescued.
I wonder if that was the only penguins the zoo had. Just 2?
Aww.
That'd be sad. Really sad. The whole exhibit's just closed.
Nobody's allowed to see the penguins because that person stole them.
Oh, yeah. Well, that serves you right, sir, to be arrested. You shouldn't just steal penguins.
Right.
It's terrible. Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of our episode, and I hope you can tune in to our next Weird News podcast episode.